You know, when we think of the mafia, our minds usually jump straight to the Hollywood stuff, right? The honor, the family, the violence. But today, we're going to peel back that curtain. We're going to look past the spectacle to uncover something way more interesting: the incredibly disciplined financial system that actually lets these organizations survive and thrive under insane pressure. So let's get into how it all really works. And this right here, this one idea from our source material, is the key to the whole thing. It's not about the crime, it's about the money. See, the power always follows the cash flow. And believe it or not, the violence, well, that's usually just a sign that the financial system has already failed. So let's just throw out the old playbook for a second. All that romanticized stuff about guns and loyalty, it's mostly a distraction. The real engine, what's actually driving the train here, is a ruthless, laser-like focus on cash flow, on financial discipline, and maybe most importantly, on silence. At its core, this is a business, just one that has to operate under the most extreme conditions you can possibly imagine. Okay, so what do you do when you can't use a court to enforce a contract, or you can't just walk into a bank to store your money? Well, you're forced to create a whole new set of rules. And these rules, they're not based on what's right or wrong or what's legal. They're based on a brutal, unbreakable logic that is designed for one thing and one thing only: survival. All right, let's start with the most fundamental principle of all. In this world, you live and you die by the cash you have on hand. It's not just money. The source material calls it authority in physical form. Think about it. It's immediate, it's anonymous, and it is absolute. This here really breaks down that obsession with liquidity. It's not just about having a pile of money. It's about what that cash can do for you right now. Instant payments, that's how you enforce loyalty and settle disputes before they blow up. And you don't keep it all in one place. You store it in fragmented, hidden stashes, making it almost impossible for anyone to seize it all at once. It's why they prioritize rackets that turn over cash fast. The speed of the money is actually more valuable than the profit margin itself. And this is where it gets really interesting for everyone. This obsessive focus on cash, it looks almost identical to how a totally legitimate corporation acts when it's in a full-blown crisis. You know, imagine a company facing sanctions or a market that's just collapsed. Suddenly, all those credit lines are gone. Trust has evaporated. The only thing that matters anymore is cash on hand to make payroll and just survive. This quote just sums up the entire mindset perfectly. When you're in a high-risk environment, you stop caring about getting the absolute best return on your capital. You just care about not losing it. The game isn't about growth. It's about preservation. So here's the next puzzle. How in the world do you track millions of dollars when every single piece of paper, every spreadsheet could become Exhibit A and send you to prison for the rest of your life? Well, you have to invent a system of accounting that's specifically designed to leave no trace. They do it with something called mental ledgers. It's brilliant, really. Down at the street level, the numbers are super precise, down to the dollar. But as that information moves up the chain of command, it gets deliberately simplified. Lieutenants give spoken summaries, not spreadsheets. By the time the info reaches the top boss, all they have is this abstract, high-level awareness of the cash flows. It's a genius way to insulate the leadership from any of the incriminating details. But what if you can't talk directly? Or what if memory just isn't reliable enough for a critical instruction? Well, for those moments, the system has this fascinating little failsafe, the P-Zeno. We're talking about tiny, coded scraps of paper used for absolutely essential commands, especially by leaders who are running things from a prison cell. They are the ultimate form of risk-averse communication. And this just illustrates their purpose perfectly. A P-Zeno is designed from the ground up to be minimal, easy to destroy, and fragmented. So one little note might order a payment, and a completely different one might confirm it. No single message ever reveals the full picture. The whole system sacrifices speed, on purpose, to guarantee survival and continuity. Now, this obsession with secrecy and survival, it naturally bleeds into their investment strategy. I mean, when your single biggest risk isn't a market crash, but the government confiscating everything you own, your entire approach to assets has to change. You don't pick investments for growth, you pick them for their ability to hide value and to resist being seized. And this leads to a really smart, two-pronged strategy. On one hand, you've got these cash-heavy front businesses, think restaurants, construction companies. They give you operational cover and, of course, a way to launder all that daily income. And then on the other hand, you've got real estate that acts as a stable, long-term capital lockbox to store and anchor all that wealth for the future. So what you end up with is this portfolio that's built from the ground up for survival. It balances the high-risk, high-cash flow illegal stuff with stable, defensive legal assets. And right there in the middle, you have what you could call gray assets. These are businesses like waste management that are technically legal, but operate in a way that can easily blur the lines and give you a ton of flexibility. So let's be super clear about this. Profit is just a byproduct. It is not the goal. Every single investment decision is driven by resilience. This portfolio isn't a wealth-generating engine. It's more like an intricate financial fortress designed specifically to contain losses and make sure the organization can survive any shock that comes its way. Okay, so let's tie all of this together. How does this whole financial system actually create power and define who's in charge? And, maybe more importantly, how does it all fall apart? In this world, leadership has absolutely nothing to do with charisma. It is purely transactional. You are the leader because you control the money, period. Your authority is earned and re-earned every single day by making payroll on time, by covering your soldiers' legal fees, and by absorbing financial losses so they don't have to. I mean, it really is that simple. Your legitimacy, your power, your entire position as the leader flows directly from your ability to reliably control and distribute that cash. The second that reliability starts to wobble, so does your authority. And this is the system's greatest vulnerability. It's Achilles' heel, succession. When a leader gets killed or arrested, their mental ledger dies right along with them. The oral reporting chains just snap. And suddenly, you have all these competing claims for money popping up, and the entire financial structure shatters into a bunch of fragmented, warring pieces. And the collapse, it follows this really predictable path. It doesn't start with a big, dramatic shootout. No, it starts quietly. It starts when the cash flow slows down and payments start getting missed. Then trust erodes, discipline breaks down, the structure fragments, and eventually there's nothing left but irrelevance. This is probably one of the most important things to get about failure in these systems. The end isn't some big, dramatic explosion. It's a quiet, financial decay that happens once money just isn't able to coordinate people's actions and guarantee their loyalty anymore. And this quote just brings it all home, doesn't it? It perfectly synthesizes the core lesson of this entire explainer. While the criminal environment is obviously extreme, the underlying financial logic of survival, of prioritizing liquidity, resilience, and continuity, that logic is universal. So what we've really seen today is a lot more than just a peek inside the criminal underworld. By studying how these organizations manage their finances under the most extreme duress, what we're really getting is a masterclass in crisis management, in risk containment, and in the raw mechanics of how power actually works. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought. Whether we're talking about a criminal enterprise, or a company facing a hostile takeover, or even a nation in crisis, when any system is pushed to its absolute limit, does the ruthless logic of finance always eventually take over?